Hello there, League of Legends fans. Welcome to week 3 of the LJL, presented by the LJL Officially Unofficial. My name is Middlecott, and I'm going to be joined breaking down these first 3 games by the wonderful Yulway. How are you doing, man?
You, hello. Yeah, doing quite well. It's very hot once again. It's not the time to cast games inside right now. I really would like an AC. But well, we have to live with it. And I'm excited for some LJL action once again, coming back. Am I not a regular now? I'm a guest,
I,
regular,
yeah,
guest, not
guest
sure.
regular. Well, we just can't get rid of you, man. You're just like sticking around and gonna watch some great games with us today. We're gonna be starting off with the Softbank Hawks facing off against Rascal Jester, and I feel like this one's a little bit of a mismatch. The Hawks haven't looked good, and Jester, well, they're dominating the entire region right now.
Yeah, I want to ask you as one of the actual regulars here, what do you think of Rascal Jester? And do you think they can finally break their curse of never actually being the ones to take home the title? Do you think it's they've showed it you enough? Do you want to hold out a little
Oh,
bit longer, or
wow, you're really asking the impossible questions here, man. So from what we've seen of them so far, I'm very impressed. It feels like they're almost the team that Detonation Focus Me was meant to be coming into summer. They've looked extremely good. Their games have been very clean. They're not dying a lot. In a region which is sort of known for a little bit of its clown fiesta nature sometimes, which is very impressive. I wouldn't quite say that they're all the way yet, but if they're able to continue this unbeaten run that they're on, I definitely think we could be looking at a new name on the LGL trophy come the end of the split.
be quite surprising and very surprising as well? Uh, but
Yeah.
do you think you have favorite player on this roster? Do you think there's one that stands out? I mean, all of them have very impressive stats,
All
right? Their
yeah.
KDAs are the top five, straight up, the five players. So it's
Yeah.
hard to choose one, I'd guess.
Um it's difficult because obviously, yeah, there are very talented players all across this roster. For me personally, I'd have to go towards Soul. He looked really good in spring. He was like the second highest damage per minute out of any AD carry in the league. And he's just leveled up somehow from there. He's currently sitting at the fourth highest damage per minute globally, which is honestly ridiculous. I didn't expect to be saying that about an LJL player. The only people ahead of him, I think, is Tactical in North America. But the thing is, he doesn't die. This guy has 1.3 average deaths per game. And where you've got an ADC that can put out loads of damage and stay safe while doing it, then I don't know. Maybe we are looking at title contenders.
Certainly looking good for them. I'm very excited for them. But I personally am much more of a top lane fan. I like to watch very good ADCs as well, but for me, the best players are always the top laners. It's such a difficult role to play. But we're already in draft, so we didn't quite know how much time we had to prepare. Maybe a few words about the Hawks. We don't want to throw them under the bus completely. Tell me very quickly, what do you expect from the Hawks? 2-2 right now, playing against the big favorites. How do they win today?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult. Like I said, they're not looking too great. They weren't hot in spring. They're playing a little bit better now, and I think the main carry for them is Dasher. He's probably putting up the best numbers for mid laners in the LGL right now. His damage percentage, his share on the team is absolutely ridiculous. He's also got the highest skill participation out of any mid laner. So all of the resources are being sort of funneled towards him. Appleman's playing weak side. Zenit and Corporal are sort of doing their thing. And Tussle is all about enabling this mid lane carry.
And last week I was promised some Senna games from Zenit, and then they actually swapped the Senna to the support and played Lee Sin Senna, but Lee Sin on Zenit, even though he is supposed to be the Senna main, so that surprised me greatly. We saw that in LCS later on as well. It's not going to be a Senna game here with the Thresh, and instead we go to one of the strongest combinations on this patch. It's 11-13, so the same patch we saw yesterday in LEC and LCS
Yep.
already. And this means the number one ADC, maybe, especially paired with Thresh, is Aphelios. He's back 27 lethality. If you max out the second, I'm not even sure what to call it, the E ability. It's not really an ability,
It's
but
not an ability. It's
yeah.
just free stats, just free stuff. And I think it's a little bit of a departure almost from what Hawks have been playing towards, because we have seen Zenit on these more supportive style picks like the Kalista, the Senna, and then obviously that Lee Sin game. So we're pivoting away from that style. We're giving the AD carry a bit more agency, and maybe Dasher will default to something a little bit more supportive. But on the side of Rascal Jesters, we see that they've already picked up that big bruiser combo, the Volibear and the Renekton, and they're going to round it out with the Nautilus. So a lot of frontline potential there, but no damage carries picked up quite yet.
Yeah, and a lot of new things shown by Rascal Jester. They haven't played the Volibear before, they haven't played the Nautilus at all, even though Secret has played 4 different supports. Most of them are actually more on the supportive side, more enchanter focused. A Yuumi game in there, a Karma game in there, even a Bard. Not sure what to call Bard really. Roaming enchanter, I guess.
He's vibing. He's vibing.
Yeah, he's doing everything at once and then nothing at all. You don't really know with Bard. But he had a very successful Bard game, so now back to the Nautilus. Might signal a Kai'Sa. We see the Kalista ban instead. They haven't played Kalista, so I would probably guess it's a Kai'Sa game here. Kai'Sa, Nautilus into Aphelios Thresh sounds like a very hard lane to play though, so
Yep.
I'd say Hawk actually the Hawks coming away with a very nice start to the draft. Getting B1 Thresh is always a good choice on 11-13 specifically.
I mean, Sol could always look to pick up the Varus, definitely proficient on that champion as well as the Kai'Sa, so maybe you don't necessarily need to go into that painful lane matchup. We see a couple of these skirmish-focused champions banned away by Rascal Jester, and there it is, that is the Varus ban, so they're saying, Sol, you need to either pick Kai'Sa or dig a little bit deeper in your pool to counter what we've thrown in front of you.
Oh, this one is open as well. I'm really excited to see this. So, the Ziggs could still be flex pick, could still go mid lane as well.
Yep.
Maybe looking at the enemy team and saying, yeah, well, this could still go either way. Don't really expect it for that said, Recap actually played some control mages, right? So, could actually still go to the mid lane. I think it's better in bot lane. And now you can pressure the Aphelios in lane, can actually just shove him out, try to get some resets, and you can even play teleport on the bot lane Ziggs and just completely ignore the laning phase. Just scale and try to get the towers done. Nice tower rotation. So I'm a big fan of Ziggs. I've always been a big fan of Ziggs. So
Ooh, and we're seeing some tower taking destruction combos hovered here for Rascal Jesters. Are hovering that Ash just now. We did see the Hawks pick up Orianna and Aatrox. I feel like these are two of the champions that have just been sort of staples in the meta forever. Obviously Orianna pretty much since season 4 and Aatrox since he was reworked, but it does end up being the Jinx opt in for Rascal Jesters. A little bit more of a traditional AD carry for Sol, and that would imply that is Ziggs going into the mid lane.
that's quite risky. I think the Rascal Jesters actually picking themselves into a little bit of a hole here.
Yep.
They are saying to Hawks, we are the better team, we know how to out-execute, because if I just turn off the nameplates here, Ziggs and Jinx together with no real peel on their team. Everyone else wants to go into the likes of Aatrox, Thresh, and Diana. Sounds very, very dangerous. And then you add on top of that the Shockwave. You add on top of that the ultimate from Aphelios, the purple one especially, to catch out anyone. So that's very dangerous to play. Sol and Recap need to be on their best behavior to not die here. And you pointed out Sol never really dies, so if he doesn't die here on Jinx into this composition with no real peel, that's even more impressive. The tower taking capabilities are insane, their Baron is insane, but they need to get there somehow.
Yeah. But if you don't die, then maybe this is the game to really flex it. And if you are able to come out of this game with a pretty decent KDA, that's going to be very scary for the teams looking to face you in the future. For the side of the Hawks, it's a fairly standard composition. I feel the Diana in the jungle was one of those AP junglers that was buffed quite a few patches ago before MSI. And with the Rumble and the Morgana nerfs that eventually came in, people are starting to realize actually she's still got a pretty strong clear very fast, and she also brings a lot in skirmishes.
Yeah, and I have to say I'm just loving this composition. It's easy to play, it has a very easy go button, it's a wombo combo, but also very strong lanes, right? We have Aphelios Thresh, wins almost every matchup. We have Aatrox in the top lane, very strong into melee gems, and then Orianna can almost neutralize anything. Might struggle a little bit, level 6, level 7 onwards against Ziggs, against the spammable Q. And this is already a big start. Sol might have to... Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah, no, he's just going to be fine. And we are now in game. Going to have to find out whether it's going to be draft diff favoring the Hawks or whether the players on Rascal Gestures are just able to use that raw skill that they've been displaying so far and able to push through and take the win.
And I don't want to say the enemy team has no, or Rascal Jester, he has no way of winning. They, of course, have a very strong composition themselves. Super strong front to back when it comes to damage share. We have Ziggs, one of the highest DPS mages in the game. That's one of the reasons you can play him bot lane, that he's actually able to substitute the ADC DPS with all his spammable abilities. Just got buffed again. And the most recent nerf, I think, is not on this patch, right? It's on 11.14, if I remember correctly, the mana nerf.
Yep.
So he's in his strongest state ever, or in a very long time. And then Jinx, of course, late game, always a strong champ. I think Jinx will struggle a little bit in getting her first reset here. Maybe you can focus on Tussle and then fight from there. That's one of the things I want to look out for in the team fights. If Soul can actually get going and get his resets going and really carry the team later on.
Yeah. And whilst we're looking at these ADCs briefly, we are seeing the longsword triple potion starter's secret. Still getting the eye in with that dredge line, but I do want to touch on this start because we are seeing it a lot more from a lot of teams. What is the benefit of going for this option as opposed to that Doran's Pot traditional start?
Well, it's more sustain, right? It's very obvious. We can. They even add on the cookies here for Secrets of Soul. So Soul can take very reckless fights all the time. Can just go for trades. We already saw him being super aggressive into Aphelios Thresh. Not something you really expect to see, even though Aphelios level 1, particularly bad champion because he has no ability, right? But still,
Yeah.
Aphelios Thresh most of the time it's double ranged. Aphelios with 650 range, most of the time able to establish some lane control and then really get going level 2. But here we saw Soul just pushing forward, using his auto attacks, not caring for any kind of retaliation damage. And that's the power of this build. It makes you more squishy.
Yep.
And looking at these junglers, Tussle flashing in, or maybe Hachimecha on the other side, coming in with the flash Q stun, that's a very easy kill.
Yeah, as we do see them starting to arrive at the opposite sides of the map. Kanatu has pushed that wave in very nicely in the top side and is just going to try and spot out Tussle on the Diana, but he will not be able to find her as we do see Tussle pathing back up towards the top side. Might be looking to contest Hachimecha for this first scuttle grab.
This could be the first scuttle scuffle, as we always like to see. But no, Hachimecha is just a little bit too slow, going for the full clear instead. Can reset for bot scuttle, because Tussle really has to go. Oh, never mind. He wants to go for a kill on Kinato. Overpushed in the top lane, but Hachimecha is here too.
Yeah, you do need to beware Volibear, but like ships in the night, Tussle cancels the recall, and Hatchmet just seeing that the crab has been taken
Uh-oh.
is going to run into him. There's a lot of brawling power on the Volibear in the early game, but he's been caught in a little bit of a 2v1 right now. That's so much damage coming out from the Darkened Blade. Kanatu trying to turn around, but he is just able to do it. Picks up the kill on Tussle, but it's going to get turned around once again as Appaman picks up the second kill of the fight.
Really bad execution there from Hachimecha, but no time for that secret from the top side somehow.
Ooh, level
In mid
2,
lane.
level 3 lands the hook. Dash had taken low. The exhaust comes out. One more auto and recap picks off the kill off the level 2 roam from Secret.
Beautifully orchestrated by Rascal Jester there, and I have no idea how Secret came from the top side there. Had to recall it super early on, did not catch that reset. So once again, we actually see some of the advantages of taking so many potions into bot lane. You can see the reset coming in there. So Jinx straight getting bot again, using a little bit of a cheat to recall. But this flash from Hachimecha turns everything around.
Ooh.
That is horrible to see. Just a split second too late. Kinatu does well to actually get the kill back, and this is going to go a long way for his own laning phase, because getting double killed on the top lane is probably a really bad sign for him, but now he should be fine. Honestly, I can't really fault Dasher too much. He should have flashed this one, to be honest. Tried to outplayed, but then again, he was so thrown off by just the support arriving from top side at 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Kinda understandable.
Yeah, you really don't expect it, but you need to respect it
Oh
because
no.
Secret has been doing that a lot, because the hook is going to land on both AD carries now, but Soul is taken down immediately. Now Secret has to run. The Graviton gun slowing him down. He's forced to flash away. The Q comes out. One more
Holy.
hit, and it's a double for the Aphelios. Now Hetchamecha's running in, but you don't want this, my friend. Gets the Sky Splitter, gets the damage. Zenit on 50 HP,
On the
trying to
tower.
kite back towards the enemy tower, but he's not going to get it. Take down the volley bet in the trade. 3 for 1 in favor of the Hawks.
Milcott, tell me again, what is the best bot lane in the LJL? Huh?
Man,
Huh?
I guess it's Zenit and Corporal.
Yeah, we are back to 200 years, by the way. Everyone who is slow to catch up on the patch, this is what is going to happen everywhere in the world, because Aphelios is a very strong champion. They overbuffed him quite a lot. They gave him buffs, compensation buffs of some of the kind a few times, but now a big dive from Kinatu, but Hachimetra is here, and the teleport is coming in as well.
Yeah, level 6, that's going to be a load of damage.
Ooh.
Popped on the Renekton immediately. No chance of getting out now. Recap is trying to take down the Aatrox on the backside, gets the kill, and it's just going to be a 2 for 2, but the Moonfall comes out from Tussle, diving forward. One more hit. The Ziggs is popped as well. Now Hatchamecha will run down Dasher. The flash over the wall gets the Orianna away.
And we are here to brawl. Both teams just handshaking and taking all the fights. They could have disengaged there, but teleport? Who cares? We're still going for the dive. We're diving level 6 Renekton. He has no flash, so let's just go for it. And it's decently successful, but let's take a look at this one. They just disrespect the purple gun. There
Just
is...
woke up.
Yeah, that's just Soul not having played against Aphelios in some time, because he just disrespects Purple Gun, he immediately blows up. The strongest lane combination when it comes to weapons is actually this one, because you have so much CC, you can chase down the enemy team. And then... Hachimecha... I mean, he gets the E. If the E doesn't land on Zenit, I think he just dies as well. I mean, he dies in the end, so... He does well to at least get one counter kill and actually deny this wave, because Thresh can't really shove out the wave on his own too well, so that's at least the complete disaster is averted, but it's still a double kill over to Zenit, and he looks very, very strong at the start of this game.
What were we saying about Rascal Gestures coming into this game? We were talking about them like being a team that doesn't die unnecessarily, that doesn't go for these risky plays, that just plays it out very cleanly. They've died 7 times this game. They've given over massive gold leads. Look at Appman right now, 900 gold up on Kinatu, who in spring and in summer has just been lane gapping people. And it's not happening for Rascal Jesters right now. They're 2k gold in the hole. Yes, they picked up that Drake, but look at the damage carries for Hawks. Diana, Orianna, Aphelios. You've got to be really worried if you're a Rascal Jesters fan right now.
Yeah, and I think this all comes back to the drafting phase and all the tools that Hawks has come into this game with. So much engage. Everyone can do something for themselves, right? Even the ADC has CC to start a fight. Every single position, maybe Dasher not so much. He's more of the complementary last member that actually completes the big wombo combo, but everyone else has so many tools in their arsenal to start fights, look for aggressive invades, and I think this has thrown Rascal Jester off a little bit, because they wanted to play a little bit more of the controlled style, maybe a little bit more topside focus with very strong top laners, but Corporal and Zenit looking for another one.
Well, that's a nice hook landing onto Hatchamecha. The fly over the wall isn't quite going to happen, and the red buff steal is completed. They see Tussle rotating here, and they could look for a pick. The Dredgeline is landing. There is a flash available on the Orianna. That's a very nice bomb landing down. Hatchamecha picks up one.
And I have to shout a recap. He is the one member that really holds out for Rascal Jester so far. He is having a great game on the Ziggs, always in this insanely good position to react to plays. And Ziggs is not known to roam, but if you land your bomb every single time, then that's so much damage. It's so much faster now, so harder to dodge. We already saw that in action there. Tussle, no time to get out of that bomb from the Ziggs. And I think if Zenit has flash, he just flashes over there, goes red-white and kills everyone, but he doesn't have the flash, so he just can't get there. They don't have vision, they can't continue this chase. Then a little bit of a disconnect here. Tussle, not really sure what he's trying to do. He knows the red buff is gone, so just a lapse of judgment there, and the bomb deals a lot of damage, yes.
Yeah, and this is the sort of thing that we've come to expect from Tussle. Hawks have played decently, but if you had to look at a weaker member on their team, it would be Tussle. Wasn't looking great in spring. Was able to pick up that Rift Herald earlier, is going to summon that in the mid lane and get a little more gold on Dasher, who is yet to pick up a kill in this game as of yet. But when you're looking at the side lanes, I don't think you're feeling too unhappy about that one.
I want to point out one item choice here that is a little bit peculiar to me. Zenith going for the Immortal Shield bow instead of the Kraken Slayer we see a lot. Of course, Kraken interaction with Onslaught, I think it's called, the Red Gun Q, was nerfed a few patches ago, maybe even a season ago, so it doesn't actually apply that much of Kraken Slayer's damage anymore, but it's still a pretty strong combo, and Kraken just the highest DPS build, of course, to get more attack speed. You get all the highest stats, so going for a little bit more of the anti-dive build, which, looking at the enemy team, also makes quite a lot of sense. So Zenith maybe not on the highest amount of damage, but considering he's 2-1 already, he can probably stop off for a little bit more of a defensive item here, and then go more into full damage later on.
Yeah, you can't do damage if you're dead. And if you look at what Hawks have charged with themselves, there's definitely damage threats there. So Zenit doesn't need to be the primary carry for this team. And he hasn't really been the primary carry for them all season. Yes, that's mostly been Dasher, but I think Appman's also put up some good performances. I still remember that insane Lee Sin play that he got in the, I think it was the second game of the split, where he gets the flash Dragon's Rage kick, gets a kill in a 1v2 outplay, and is able to get out as well. So putting him in a good position, definitely nice for the Hawks. And I mean, he's 40 CS up. He's got a couple kills for himself. This Aatrox is looking pretty tasty.
He's looking pretty tasty for Archimetra right now as well, on full vision. I think if he overextended there a little bit more, there would have been a nice counter kill for Archimetra. There's so much to see between the two of them. Now instead, we might end up with a 2v2 skirmish again. How are the TPs looking? Dasher can come in for a TP.
Oh, that's going to be the world ender pop by Appleman. That's going to be the Cola Meat coming out, and the stun lands onto the Aatrox, but he's just able to get out 1-for-1 again as the TPs come out. The Inferno Bomb flashed away from Tussle. Now Dasher is on the run. Another fight in the top lane, and another 1-for-1.
Well, that's advantageous for the side of the Hawks again, because Dash actually walked there, so better coordination for them. They already knew what play they wanted to go for, and Recap once again had to save the day with the teleport. Now no teleport available for him, so if you ever catch him, which admittedly is very difficult on this Ziggs, a lot of stealth peel. Let's take a look at this play again. First, Appman just overextending under tower. Against double stun, double pointed click stun, it's a super risky play. You know the teleport is available, or at least you should know that it is available. And Tassel even forced to flash. So initially it actually looks like a good counterplay for Rascal Jester, getting a little bit of gold and the shutdown back into their pocket. And there is an opportunity now to play against the TP advantage, or with the TP advantage for the side of Hawks. As I say that, he just TP'd back into lane, so maybe not so much. So in the end, probably a good play for Rascal Jester. More gold into Recap. The hyper carry Ziggs. We are here to see it.
Yeah. And the game has sort of settled a little bit. We did just have that skirmish, obviously, but the gold hasn't moved too much in the last 5 minutes as Hawks have started to position to contest this Drake. Is that Ocean? So we will have the Cloud or the Infernal Soul. Is this something that Rascal Jesters need for Fightful right now?
If you're behind already and you're sitting on a Ziggs Jinx composition, I think you always hope for the Infernal Soul, especially if you're already on one dragon. So could be an avenue to victory, could be a nice little thing to play for, especially if the enemy team is a mid of the table LJL team, so you don't really expect them to be super clean when it comes to closing out the game. Maybe they give you an opportunity or even two, and then one steal or one good setup, one surprising team fight, and suddenly you're sitting on the soul. So everything could be undone from the side of Hawks. I would like them to contest this next one, because Ziggs on one item, yeah, he's scary, but he's only going to get scarier. Soul is not scary at all, and Kinatu is pretty far behind. He's not even level 11, so why not fight this dragon and give yourself a little bit more time? Maybe you can even look at a late game Infernal Soul win condition. Instead, they're just going to trade this one for the second Rift Herald when they're already in a good position. I'm not the biggest fan of this, I have to say.
Not the biggest fan, yeah. You sort of at this stage, you want to get that, you want to stop that soul win condition, because it feels like that's what Rascal Jesters are playing towards right now. Obviously, because the respawn time is, yeah. Ooh, that is big. That is big. And because the respawn timers on those drakes are so small, that's going to be popping up in 10 minutes' time. Rift Herald is summoned immediately in the mid lane, so this will be first tower going over. Solo gold to Dasher, or shared with Tussle, actually. And Apperman is continuing to bully Kanato, doing a little bit of proxy farming in the top side.
You always have to think about what they actually just did there. They said, we do not want this game to go late. We do not want to play for 4 or 5 dragons, because the 5th would be their win condition if everything goes perfectly right, because they're already one drake down. So they said, okay, we do not care for dragons. We want to snowball this game. We want the gold right now. We want to snowball our very strong engaged champion on Tussle. So now that they actually did this, they have to also play through him. So Tussle needs to be active. Tussle and Dasher got a lot of gold injection here. You can see a little bit of a shutdown on Dasher, even though he's just farming. So now the team fight, maybe the next dragon, because that's going to be very shiny for Rascal Jester. They're going to look at that and going to yearn for that 3rd dragon. So maybe there's the opportunity for Tussle to really make this early gold investment count for them and maybe open up the game. They're sitting on a 3k gold lead, which might be enough to close. But they need one really good team fight to maybe get into Baron, and then destroy the next turrets.
Yeah. It feels like for Hawks right now, it's not necessarily about grabbing the objectives, but it's using it as an opportunity to have a fight. And because they have taken down that mid lane tower, they'd be able to push the vision line a little bit further, but they might be getting collapsed on here. That's a very nice 2-person knock-up from the depth charge. The shockwave comes out, and Dasher not quite able to get to safety. Corporal is on the wrong side right now. Flash is back, but he is looking in a dire position.
Very surprising to me that they didn't take the fight. Zenit was there. He is flash, heal, and ultimate available. Had red and white, if I saw that correctly. They just didn't go for the fight. And this is 2 kills back to...
Oh!
Wow, he actually managed that. But it's a kill, it's a tower over to recap. So a lot of gold. There is almost 2k gold immediately for Rascal Jester. And as we said just a minute ago, they went for the late game investment for the dragons. So now suddenly all the gold investment is undone. Look at Zenit here. Why does he decide to not fight? He has red, he has white, green.
He's
Okay,
walking
he just
away.
walks away.
And then by the time all the damage comes out, the fight's already over. He can't get in.
Yeah, fair enough. He was scared by the TP as well, and no TP from Apperman to counteract that, so I think you have to take the fight there, honestly, with all your gold advantage. I think there's definitely an angle where Zenit can just kill everyone, maybe even Tussle if he comes in. But a little bit sad to see Hawks go more defensive and try to disengage there. Though on the other end, it's once again a TP blown for Kinatu, so maybe there's something to do here, attack Kinatu, or even try to attack somewhere else and know that Kinatu can't join.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're Rascal Jesters, you're very happy right now. All of a sudden, that gold lead has been reduced, and
what happened here?
What happened here? Oh, I mean, you take that trade every day of the week if you're secret, right?
That's great. Yeah, no flash. It's hard to kill him anyway. Recap is dead. No, that was a really nice play from Tussle. Finally seeing his action, level 11 Diana. That's so much damage, and they might actually look to chase for further kills. Nope.
Not quite coming out. And fun fact, Recap this game has died the same number of times as he has in like all the other games combined this split.
Wow. And he's still having a great game.
Yeah. He's outputting a load of damage. He's nearly got that Saris Embrace start up with the tier. Once that comes out, Ziggs is going to be a lot scarier. But because of that pickup, because of the shutdown I believe that they got on him, Hawks have been able to push the gold lead a little bit further. But as we get later and later into the game, and as this Drake is spawning very soon, Rascal Jesters are feeling more and more comfortable.
A little bit late on the reset there, but Dasher has TP, so he can kind of cheat his reset timing. I'm not the biggest fan of Zenit recalling now. He had to for the item. 2 items now done, 40% crit and a lot of AoE damage. As I said before, it's not the highest damage build, but we have so much complementary damage on the other carries that you can go for more survivability. No flash, but he does have heal available. He's level 11, so if he chooses to red gun ult, that's 400 damage roughly, 400 health back as well. So very hard to lock down and kill Zenit here. And I'm not liking what I'm seeing. Why are you going for topside? Contest the dragon. Ooh, this is so risky. They're so late as well.
Oh yeah, there is no way that you can take down this Baron in time. That's going to be the third Drake going over to Rascal Jesters, and we see Recap, Soul, Kanatu making their way over to the Baron pit, already down to 6,000, but Hawks know that they can't finish it off, so a fumble on their part, and this is giving mid lane priority over to Rascal Jesters. They take the Drake, and they take the mid tower.
And why would you try to trade here? You are in the advantage. You have better item times. Look at all your players. Everyone is sitting on 2 items already. Or almost in the case of Tussle. You know you have a great team composition. Zenit is so hard to kill. Dasher has a lot of damage. Apperman can just go in. He's only getting weaker from now. It's Aatrox. 2 items is where he wants to fight. And you opt out of the fight and going for a risky, late, and not great, and not good setup Baron. That makes no sense whatsoever. Very bad execution on the call to there. In the end, Rascal Jester, yeah, they're 4k gold down almost, but they don't care. They're on Infernal Soul point, with Jinx and Ziggs just getting time to farm, collect more items. Ziggs almost on 2 items, almost working on his 3rd already, and Jinx now 2 items as well. So this is actually looking better than you might think for Rascal Jester. And as I said before, they just need 1 lucky steal or anything to get the Infernal Soul. So getting to the Soul point is such a huge boon for them.
So have we flipped now your way? Are we at the point now in the game where Rascal Jesters are going to be favored if we go for a fight?
It's hard for me to say that because I feel like in terms of composition and just looking at nameplates off, I would still favor Hawks. But looking at how they played the last few minutes, actually looks like they're not willing to go for fights. And then I'm a big Ziggs fan. I think he outscales almost everything. So might just be Ziggs, the Ziggs show, and if Ziggs gets a lot of poke damage in, suddenly Jinx gets way better as well, because she just needs 1 reset, and then Ziggs, Jinx together with Infernal Soul, double ultimate, oof.
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 Oof. And Hawks showing the sort of level of team that we maybe expected from them coming in. They've got themselves into a
That's
good
fair.
position. They've had a decent early game, but they've not felt comfortable when they've had the lead. They've not felt comfortable pushing advantages, which they've needed to do. And that's allowed Rascal Jester to scale up and get to a point where we're looking at it and going, yeah, it's all execution right now, which we shouldn't be at this point in the game.
There's a lot to take from this game. No matter how it goes and how it ends for both teams, Rascal Jester really have to revisit their drafting phase and their early game. But they also can say, yeah, we held out. We made very good decisions in the mid game from a very bad map position. We had Recap playing defensively but reactively in a very good way in the early game to actually get a few kills under his belt. So there's good things for Rascal Jester to go back and review, but also a lot of bad things in the early game. Then the same is true for the Hawks as well, right? Early game, such great plan, such a nice composition. Bot lane, absolutely smurfing, but then just not decisive again, not assertive enough around objectives and vision control, and now they're just running around like headless chicken, not really doing anything, not accomplishing anything. And the time is ticking down, 1.5 minutes. Are we ready for the Infernal fight for the side of the Hawks?
Maybe we'll finally see Soul able to pop off actually for Rascal Jester. Still sat 0-1 and 0. But if you get to the late game stage with Jinx, I think you're going to be happy regardless. And this is a problem that Hawks have had for a very long time. Their Baron setups haven't been existing for a lot of the time they've been in the LJL. It's something that they've needed to work on. And this game is not giving me a lot of confidence that they have done. Look at Corporal. He's scared to even check bushes in his own bot side jungle. Hawks really need to get this Infernal to deny the soul away from Rascal Jesters, but the setup just isn't there yet.
Yeah, it's just the indecisiveness showing. And this Baron play, maybe I've harped on it a little bit too much, but it's really a defining play in the game because there's no reason for you not to fight. You do not lock in this composition to not fight. If you go to scrims and you end up playing this composition, you have to know what you want to accomplish, and they actually have to fight it at some point. It's scary. It's always scary to commit to the fight. But if you don't, you just lose the game slowly, especially if you trade down on objectives. Now I like their positioning here in the river. First to the river, they shoved out the mid wave, It's not going to get stay shoved against the Ziggs for long, but they're still setting up for this dragon, and they could just rush it down. 4 seconds remaining, and I think Rascal Jester might have just conceded this one, which is fine for them as well to do. Just a little bit more time for them to scale. Enemy team is nowhere close to the Infernal Soul point, so yeah, Rascal Jester just taking it slowly, not actually trying to throw away the game just for the off chance of stealing this one away. So quite the measured approach from the Rascal Jester, and 5 more minutes for them to scale, maybe get Jinx on an IE, maybe get recap on, I don't know what he wants to go for, Zhonya's potentially.
Yeah, it's about items, and like you said, 5 more minutes. They're completely comfortable with this game going later, as long as Hawks aren't grabbing any objectives that are going to burst it wide open. And the Infernal Soul is ages away for them. Elder isn't going to spawn unless Rascal Jesters pick up that Infernal,
Yeah, right.
and the Baron hasn't really been an objective that Hawks have wanted to fight around, as Kanata is 1v1ing Appam, but it's not going to stay a 1v1 for long as Hatcher Mecha is on the prowl. And Appleman decides that maybe he doesn't want to end Renekton's world just yet.
Nice little showcase of mechanics there. Apperman with a very nice, how's it called again? When you cancel your animations? Yeah, animation canceling.
Animation cancelling.
Right. So he actually showed us some good understanding of the things you can do with this a little bit clunky champion.
No.
It looks bad, but why not go for it? Nothing is happening, so your ultimate is going to come off cooldown
it's
again.
Fine.
So
It's fine.
It's fine.
That's
it looks really bad. I agree. It always looks bad when this happens.
It's not a flash. It's not a flash. Let's see. Tussle's already got a quarter of his ultimate ready again. So missing that Moonfall isn't going to feel too bad, but it does give Rascal Jesters a small opportunity if they want to push forward into the river to secure some vision, knowing that that tool is unavailable.
So now actually some changes I want to talk about for this patch. First time we actually get to see this patch in action in our game. So very important changes. Second turrets, or tier 2 turrets I should say, much more important, much more valuable. You get so much local gold out of these. And then some of the item changes. Anathema's Chains could come in here as an item maybe for some of the players. Not the greatest item though, but a much more interesting item. The split pushing one.
Hullbreaker.
Hullbreaker, that's the name, right? Not really something you would want to go for in this kind of game, I suppose, because you're much more teamfight focused. But we saw Apperman completely stomping Kinata in the 1v1, so maybe something he could look into.
Yeah, 2 levels up on the Aatrox. Nearly hit that flame horizon as well, and we see Kanatu picking up this bot lane wave as Hawks are continuing to move around to this Baron, but crucially haven't started it yet, haven't pulled the trigger, as we're getting towards the 30-minute mark, and they've not been able to push forward with their league. And Rascal Jesters, they've got that Infinity Edge now on Soul, like we talked about earlier, well and truly online.
And that's huge. Zenith, most importantly, does not have Infinity Edge for himself, so ADC actually in favor for Soul now, in terms of pure DPS. It's going to be hard still to lock down Zenith and kill him, but they're going for a risky Baron again.
Oh, that's the hook landing onto Hatchamechi. You don't want to be jumping onto the bear. The Super Mega Inferno Bomb does so much damage. That's the first kill of the fight coming through for Soul. And in the 5v4, it's a brilliant flash roll from Tussle, but the damage just isn't there. Appman trying to go ham on the backline, but Hatchamechi does the same thing. Double kill for Dasher on the Orianna as the Aatrox is still alive.
Aatrox?
Trying to end Soul's world, but he just can't do it. The Volley Bear chases down Dasher, the last one alive for Hawks. But he's not going to be up for much longer as the bear actually falls in return, ends up being a 4-for-3 favoring Rascal Jesters.
Dasher ends up being the hero. Oh, and he can get one more? He tried.
Oh, the flash forward. I thought it was there, man. I thought it was Dasher making the plays for Hawks like he has done this entire split so far, but it didn't quite come out. Oh, the bomb.
So much action. In the end, nothing really happens. Infernal Soul in 40 seconds, or Infernal Dragon, the next one in 40 seconds, so enough time for the Hawks actually to respawn. But look at this again. No, there's no reason to go for the Baron. They don't have sufficient vision control. Yeah, the composition is quite good if the enemy team runs at them, but that's not what ends up happening. They actually try to engage, and then it's them running into all this AoE damage. Support just pops, and Apperman, even though he's so strong, he's not strong enough to just face tank everyone. He gets a lot of assistance from Dasher, and Dasher really carries this fight. Look at his positioning, running at the edge and just trying to get as much damage in as possible. This is the IE coming into effect, by the way. That's 2 crits in a row. Soul was dead if he doesn't crit the second time or even the first time. That was sure death to Apperman. Then maybe Apperman is even able to kite out Recap, so very important item purchase. Are we on IE for Zenith? That's the big question here. I don't know. We can't see the items.
Yeah, it's because the Teamfights UI has been brought up, because that's what we're about to see. This would be Infernal Soul for Rascal Jesters. That Inferno Bomb does a lot of damage, and Hatchet Measures maybe caught out. The hook lands onto Aquaman, but that's a wonderful Moonfall landing. Soul has to flash away. 0 HP. Tussle already taken down. The Oriana gets another kill. Ziggs pulling up some more in the fight. Recap doing ham stuff, but Apperman in the middle of it picks up another one, actually going to Zenith, and that's the Infernal Drake going to the Hawks after they take the fight.
Nice redemption team fight. Very good to see. Still no IE for Zenith, so actually there was still a disadvantage when it just comes to power spikes. But this time around, they fight more in line with what their composition wants to do. Thresh doesn't explode at the start, and look at this mega Inferno Bomb. It doesn't do anything. It just gets absorbed by the shield with Zenith, then able to heal back up. So
Tussle.
That's a huge tool. And Tussle, of course, with the insane engage. Unfortunately, Zenith not with the greatest weapons here. I think if he has purple and hits his ultimate, they'll probably chase down everyone, get Baron on top of that. If he has red-white, he might even be able to go more aggressive there. This way he just was a little bit of a Caitlyn, staying back and trying to get as much damage in as possible, which he did well, but in the end it's much more Tussle finding the engagement. Look at Dasher's damage. Once again, 4k damage. Dasher, the big carry, and both mid laners really popping off in this game.
And what surprises me is we were thinking that Rascal Jesters had got to the point where they could just sort of like maybe start to roll over these fights. But Hawks, with the execution in that fight, like you were saying, if Zenith have the right guns, potentially we're looking at an ace into a Baron there. So definitely not going down without a fight.
Yeah, I think the 2 most important players right now, or the 2 most important abilities for sure, Tussle's ultimate and Recap's ultimate. Those 2 can really shape the fights and really decide them at the start, just like they did in the last fight. No damage really from Recap. He didn't find the target like he did last time, where he blew up the Thresh in 1 millisecond. Yeah. And Tussle wasn't super effective in the river fight. He found a decent engage, but his flash is almost available. He's almost level 60. That's huge. That's such a big amount of damage. So if he gets on top of Recap and Soul, as we talked about at the start of the game, as we looked at this composition, they have no flash. This is the prime opportunity for Tussle to just end the game. If he hits flash ultimate on Soul and Recap, the game is over.
Yeah, I feel like we can't not talk about Dasher. It's been the carry for Hawks so many times. Look at his inventory right now. 4 items and got that elixir of sorcery in there as well. He knows that the next fight that comes up probably going to be the one, potentially going to be the one that decides the game. As we stand right now, it's Rascal Jester's positioning towards the Baron, and Hawks looking to get in, trying to clear out some of this vision and maybe catch Secret out here as the Darkin Blade is landing. That's going to be the Eternal change as well, but he can just walk away with the Dredge line. Secret's able to make it out.
I think you should press a little bit more for the kill. He doesn't have flash. There's nothing really to save him after the Dredge line is gone. So would have liked to see a little bit more of an aggressive chase from Apperman, and maybe even supplement by Tussle or Dasher. If you get the kill on Secret, there's even less peel, but instead they just run at Baron again.
They're starting off the Baron. Kidatu's on the bot side. He is going to be TPing in now. Could get a flank off. That's a Super Mega Death Rotic coming through, but it doesn't do enough damage. The Baron is down to 2.5k. Hawks are still on that. That's the hook landing. Tussle is going in onto the backside. Hachimetra is in the pit. And Kinatu is on Corporal's face. Apperman's in the backside trying to do something, but it's not coming out in time. Zenith can't get near. The Aatrox is having to 1v5 right now, and he just can't do it. Goes into that GA. He's gonna be left for dead, and Rascal Jesters get a 3-0 and are gonna move for this Baron.
There's going to be Baron. Rascal Jester finally taking control of the game, might even get into the gold lead for the first time ever. Dasher, I don't think he can do much. He has flash and ultimate available. Ultimate level 18. 500.
Oh, Zenith gets the kill onto Secret. They can move a bit further forward here. Has to flash away. That's the Inferno Bomb coming out, but it doesn't do enough damage. Dasher into the pit. 72 HP, but Hachimetra gets it. Now the Hawks have to fly. Zenit gets a lot of damage back onto Soul, but the Meek are culled. Dasher will fall as well. It's a Baron, and the fight going in favor of Rascal Jesters.
Oh, Dasher, he's still alive. Dasher really trying to win this game, but I don't think he can really do much. Maybe execute himself? He needs to wait till... Okay, no, that's not the play. Well, he didn't even have to flash there. I think Hachimecha had him with the E. But so much happened here in the end. Rascal Jester walk away with a gold lead for the first time ever. Infernal Soul, much more important in 30 seconds. And we go into the replay. That's risky, because Infernal Drake might be another fight. But look at Zenit here. He's on huge items. He's a very strong AD carry, level 15. But the biggest weakness of this champion has always been being outranged. He can deal with melee champs, as you can see. Melee champs want to run away from this one, but he can't ever get close to the carries. And even though Tussle actually found the engage I was talking about so much in the fight before, or in the minutes before leading to this fight, he found the flash ultimate on Recap and Soul. It was not enough. They burst him down. He was not able to even press Zhonya's. And this leads to Baron, Infernal Soul, and Rascal Jester taking control. Number 1 team with a 6, 2, and 10 mid lane and a 3, 1, and 6 ADC are looking strong and are looking like the 5-0 team.
Look at that damage from Dasher. Actually couldn't output anything in that last fight. And on the flip side, Soul 5,000 on the Jinx. He wasn't getting involved early game, but he's definitely getting involved now. It looked a little bit rough, but Rascal Jesters are in a prime position to continue their unbeaten run if they can take down Hawks here.
It's a very strange position for both team compositions because both have a lot of dive aspects and both carry sides, or both champions lineups, mid and AD carry, really like to get dived on. So they have very good defensive tools. So either the team that dives first usually loses in these team fights, and we've really seen that in play. SHG just trying to get the engage, and then none of the carries can actually follow up with the damage. And Tussle and Apperman fight valiantly. They really try to do everything, but they just can't out damage Recap and Soul in the backline. So maybe on the next dive, now Rascal Jester's in the very dominant position, so it's on them to dive. So maybe this time around, SHD can just sit back, look at their failures, and say, well, you're probably one of the best anti-dive champs in the game. Show us what you can do.
But they're also at that stage, Rascal Jesters, where Recap and Soul could just put out damage from a million miles away.
Ooh.
And yeah, you've got a couple of engaged tools in Tussle, but we saw in the last couple of plays, the ultimates haven't really connected as much as you would have liked them to. And the follow-up hasn't been there. So even though, yes, this Baron has fallen off now, so the pushing power of Rascal Jesters is going to be impeded, their siege is still very strong.
And I just hope for SHG's chances that they're pressing tap, because right now diving into the backline is suicide. They've completed the Zhonya's, and more importantly, they have the GA and lifesteal on Soul. So diving headfirst into those two champions is just going to lead to your death. Very bad W from Rika there, a little bit unfortunate, but doesn't really do much. So they have to play defensively. Tussle can't look for the engage. Tussle actually has to peel here. If Tussle dives into the backline, I think he just dies instantly. So please press tap. It could win you the game or lose you the game if you don't.
Oh, that's a shockwave that isn't going to be winning any games. Just take Secret to half HP. And that means that Rascal Jesters are able to push through this top lane with impunity and grab their second inhibitor of the game.
It's top and bottom inhibitor. We rarely see that happening. It's very, very unusual to see mid lane inhibitor being the only one standing. Makes playing the game from the side of the destroyed inhibitors very awkward, because you have such a long way to walk to the two inhibitor lanes. But it might not even be a concern, because they're just pushing for the third inhibitor anyway. And the wave clear is not great for SHG. They have decent wave clear on Dasher and Zenit, but they have to be pretty close to actually make that work. So RJ getting so much poke damage in here.
Yeah, and Corporal not quite able to land these hooks. He's been good in the past for Hawks, but hasn't been able to quite carry them this game. And yeah, with these two waves of Super Minions pushing in, they need to dedicate a lot of resources to clearing them out. But this is how Rascal Jester like to play. They're not a team that really snowballs incredibly quickly. We saw that the early game was maybe not as great from them, but they just want to play it by the book right now. They don't want to take anything They don't want to take unnecessary risks. Baron is up in a minute's time. We're probably going to be seeing a nice vision setup in the enemy jungle and then play towards that condition. And with the Infernal Soul on top, if Hawks come to contest, I feel like Jesters can just wipe the fight.
For sure. I would really like to see the AI predicting the game outcome because I think it's probably about 90% right now for Rascal Jester. It's very favorable. I think they've pretty much locked down the game. They just have to put the finishing touches on it, dot the i's and cross the t's, as you like to say.
Mm.
But they still should not be happy with this game. They're a 4-0 team coming into this game. Again, it's not the greatest team in SHG. They really should have been more successful in the early game. The bot lane was struggling for the first time ever, so they're kind of getting away with murder here. It's good to see for a first place team to be able to come back, but they also need to work on their early game.
I mean, it's still not over. Yes, it's heavily Rascal Jester's favored right now, but all it takes is someone to overstep slightly, and then Hawks could walk through and just take the entire fight. We're at the point in the game where a hook like this, not quite going to be enough, but we see the damage. Kanato taken to 2/3 HP just from that QW combination from Dasher. So you need to be very careful in these fights if you're Rascal Jesters.
Once again, our eyes are glued to Dasher, because if Dasher is able to actually finish the Rabadon soon, maybe you just give him a few super minion waves, try to give him as much gold as possible, or you could try to flip for the Baron. If you steal the Baron, that's pretty good too.
It
Actually
would be
gives you
very
so much
nice. It's on
time.
7,000 right now. It's just Hatchemetcha doing it. Rascal Jesters do not want to take the burger flip. And with the damage coming up from Zenith, they could be dissuaded here. That's a hook landing from Secret, but that's a beautiful stopwatch.
So,
And both are going to go into that zone. As Appman is in the middle of the fight. Kanatu's diving forward, as is Hatchemetcha trying to get onto Zenith, but he can't quite do it.
could
Appman
happen
goes
then.
into the back line. It's 2 for 0 right now. Kanatu trying to do something on the other side of the fight. Both top laners popping into the GAs. Who's going to be getting it out? Appman trying to kite away. That's going to
Wait,
be a
still alive?
beautiful dark passage as they take down the Renekton, and Rascal Jesters need to run. So goes forward, gets the
Wait,
crit. He's a madman as he flashes away. He's trying to get the rest of this fight. The zap doesn't land, and Zenit is healing up a fair bit here, but both AD carries not going to go for it.
What?
Recap's just teleported into the base. That
Oh, that's a
TP's not
horrible
going to come
teleport.
through in time. The Aphelios kills Soul, but it's not going to be enough. Magicians make doves appear, but Rascal Jesters make the Hawks disappear.
The G2. Do you remember that game where G2 failed to finish with the Ziggs last year in spring? I love the G2 flash at the end there from the mid laner. What a performance from the Ziggs. He is my MVP for sure. Even though Soul in the last team fight looked incredible, he was caught at the start, and I talked so much about their defensive tools in the GA and the Zhonya's, and this time they tried to dive Soul. They put him into GA, but then he stayed alive, put out so much damage. In the end, what a performance from Ziggs. We saw Aphelios and Ziggs, and I'm so happy. this meta is exciting. We see many, many cool team fights. This was just the start.
That was amazing. We saw nervous laughter on there on the faces of Rascal Jesters. It was a win, and you'll take it, but it wasn't perhaps the cleanest one that you would have expected your way.
It's going to have them in high spirits, though, probably.
Yeah.
After this intense game with so many team fights, coming from behind always feels extra great. And then you go into the next game, I think they are going to come in hot. Maybe a little bit too hot. Let's see. I think we are going to go for a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come back with another Rascal Jester game. And looking at this one again, maybe for a few details we might have missed on the live cast.
Welcome back to the LJLU's coverage of the LJL. That's a bit of a tongue twister. I'm still Murdercott. That's still your way. And oh my word, man, what a game was that to start off the day?
You can say that again. Wow. That was all we wanted to see. So many nice team fights, and in the end, aren't we all here to watch great team fights? It's great to always have the odd game where you can say, "Wow, this was won by Macro." They just completely shut down any opportunity the enemy team had. But in the end, we're all here for the great fights, and we had many of those in this game.
Yeah, Hawks obviously managed to get themselves an early lead versus Rascal Jesters, which I don't think was something that a lot of people were expecting. But then the cracks in their performance did start to show, and there were a couple of even fights, couple of one-for-one dives in the top lane, but ultimately they weren't able to push their advantage as much as they would have liked.
For sure. And I think it's pretty easy to pinpoint one point in the game where they really lost control. We talked about it on cast very obviously. It was the third Drake for Baron attempt trade. So they tried to go for Baron. They had an advantageous position on the map. They were 3k up, so items were looking great. Composition was looking great. Why not just fight for the dragon and actually win the game there in a team fight? Why do you give up the dragon and try to go for a super risky Baron that doesn't work out? Then the enemy team is on soul point. You always press to go for both objectives. And ultimately, that was what really put them behind on the map positioning. Great fight performances from Rascal Jester, especially
Yeah.
from the mid laner. I'm so impressed by the Ziggs play, but just the macro not coming through from the side of the Hawks.
Man, it wouldn't be a Hawks game without questionable macro, would it, man? But I think that perhaps gives a disservice to how well Hawks actually played some of the fights when they did go into a deficit. I think there were a couple of ones where, despite the Infernal Drake going over to Rascal Jesters, it did go in favor of Hawks. Even that last team fight, which I believe we have a clip of, I think it was Hawks taking a lot of that, but then it was just absolute insanity right at the end.
Yeah, and look at Soul here in this team fight. If he does not have the GA, the game is probably over in favor of SHG because they find the engage on Soul. He's one of the best positioning ADCs. We talked about his insane stats, but there we go. He is immediately shut down. Upperman comes in later, now zones away the backline, actually gets on top of his Soul and recap again. Great flash Q, but he gets exhausted and does not have the damage to kill him again. And now Soul and recap are still alive, and they just have so much damage to work with. Getting back to it again. This initial fight is so good, but then Dasher and Zenith, they lack the damage, maybe not the damage, but mostly the range to really compete with Recap and Soul.
Yeah. And then obviously after that, we saw Sol able to pop off a little bit, picked up a couple of kills, was flashing forward. We thought that maybe it could get turned around again, but then that absolutely clutch TP from Recap into the base, able to close it out. Honestly, brilliant game to start off the broadcast.
Oh, for sure. I'm super happy to see this one, even though it was a 40-minute game. And usually I'm very critical of 40-minute games because honestly, in season 11, no game should go to 40 minutes. Something happened then, and for sure it did, but at least it was a very exciting 40-minute games, not the show we had
Yeah,
last
no,
week.
it wasn't a DFM vertical.
Oh
Let's just
man.
say that. Let's
Okay.
just say that this was action packed. This was action packed, and I'm sure that our next game is going to be action packed as well. Can Rascal Jesters continue their unbeaten run and go 6-0, or will Crest Gaming Act be able to play spoiler and break the 1-2 streak that they're on? Find out right after this.